I never imagined that a single, innocent sneeze from my dog could ignite a full-blown neighborhood war, threaten my home, and lead me to adopt one of the most unconventional pets in Florida history. But that's exactly what happened in the sweltering suburbs of Naples, where the Palm Breeze Estates HOA ruled with an iron fist wrapped in pastel gloves. Let me take you through it step by step, because this tale of petty revenge and legal loopholes still makes my blood boil and my heart swell with satisfaction every time I think about it. It all started on a muggy Tuesday morning, the kind where the humidity clings to your skin like a bad habit. I was standing in my driveway, a steaming mug of black coffee in hand, dressed in my usual faded t-shirt and shorts, savoring those precious few minutes before diving into my remote work routine. My rescue beagle, Buddy, a scruffy, lovable, mud-eyed adopted from the shelter 3 years back, was happily nosing around the St. Augustine grass, chasing the scent of some invisible critter. He wasn't barking or causing a ruckus, just being a dog, minding his own business. Out of nowhere, the azalea bushes at the edge of my yard rustled violently. I froze, coffee halfway to my lips. Buddy paused mid-sniff. And then, like a scene from a bad comedy sketch, out emerged Evelyn Whitaker, the iron-willed president of our HOA. She was in her early 70s, sharp as a tack, with a pastel pink visor perched on her perfectly coiffed silver hair and a matching tennis skirt that screamed country club enforcer. In her hand, she wielded her iPhone like a sheriff's badge. The screen lit up with some fancy decibel measuring app she'd probably downloaded just to terrorize the neighborhood. Buddy, startled by this sudden apparition, let out a sharp, confused sneeze. Nothing more than a puff of air from inhaling too much pollen. Evelyn's eyes widened dramatically. She jabbed the phone closer to his snout, tapped the screen with a flourish, and gasped as if she'd uncovered a murder plot. 54 decibels, she declared triumphantly, her voice echoing off the stucco walls of my house. That's over the limit, Jack. I've got it recorded right here. I blinked, trying to process this absurdity as the caffeine kicked in. Evelyn, what on earth are you doing hiding in my bushes? And since when is a sneeze a crime? Enforcing the covenants, conditions, and restrictions of Palm Breeze Estates, she replied primly, stepping fully onto my driveway and brushing a leaf from her shoulder without a hint of apology for trespassing. Section 4, Paragraph 12, amended last Thursday. No pets generating noise in excess of 50 decibels are permitted within community boundaries. Your dog is in violation. I rubbed the bridge of my nose, feeling a headache brewing. He sneezed, Evelyn. It's allergy season. Are you seriously fining me for a bodily function? Rules are rules, she snapped, producing a pre-printed citation from a clipboard she'd somehow concealed under her arm. She slapped it onto the hood of my SUV with the finality of a judge's gavel. That's $500. And if that animal exceeds the limit again, you'll have to remove him or face further penalties. With that, she pivoted on her sensible tennis shoes, climbed into her souped-up golf cart, complete with custom rims and a vanity plate reading Joanne, and zoomed off down the cul-de-sac, leaving me staring at the bright yellow paper fluttering in the breeze. Palm Breeze Estates hadn't always been this way. When I bought my modest 2-story home here 5 years ago, it was a peaceful middle-class enclave with swaying palms, a sparkling community pool, and neighbors who waved hello without ulterior motives. But then the previous HOA president retired to Arizona, and Evelyn seized control like a general claiming a battlefield. She stacked the board with her cronies, a mix of retired accountants, former school principals, and busybodies with too much time on their hands. Under her regime, they banned street parking after dusk, outlawed visible basketball hoops in driveways, and mandated that all mailboxes be painted in coastal beige, a shade so bland it could put you to sleep. And now this, the quiet enjoyment pet ordinance, rammed through in an emergency meeting I'd missed while dealing with a work deadline. 50 decibels? That's about the sound of light rain or a humming refrigerator. A normal conversation hits around 60. Evelyn had effectively declared war on every pet that wasn't a goldfish. Over the next couple of weeks, the neighborhood descended into chaos. Evelyn and her golf cart patrol cruised the streets like vigilantes, handing out fines left and right. The Johnsons got slapped with a penalty because their golden retriever barked at a passing squirrel. The Ramirez family was cited for their parrot's squawk escaping an open window. Whispers of discontent spread at the community mailbox cluster, but no one dared challenge her openly. Evelyn's board had a reputation for aggressive legal tactics, and the fines added up fast. Then came the breaking point. One afternoon, the mailman tossed a package onto my porch with a thud. Buddy, ever the dutiful watchdog, let out 2 enthusiastic howls. Nothing excessive, just his way of saying intruder alert. But Evelyn was lurking nearby, parked discreetly 3 houses down with her decibel meter at the ready. She pounced like a cat on a mouse, issuing a $1,000 fine on the spot and delivering a certified letter from the HOA's cutthroat attorney. Remove the animal within 48 hours or face daily penalties, property liens, and potential foreclosure. Rage boiled inside me, hot and unrelenting. I paced my kitchen that evening, staring at Buddy's empty food bowl, my mind racing. I couldn't afford a protracted legal battle. Lawyers' fees would bankrupt me faster than the fines. And losing my home? Unthinkable. With a heavy heart, I packed up Buddy's bed, his squeaky toys, and his favorite blanket, then drove him an hour north to my sister's sprawling ranch in Fort Myers. She had no HOA, a huge fenced yard, and neighbors who blasted classic rock without a care. Buddy would thrive there. But as I drove back alone, the silence in my car felt oppressive, a preview of the empty house awaiting me. That night, nursing a glass of scotch on my kitchen island, I slammed the massive HOA rule book onto the counter. "You want to play dirty, Evelyn?" I muttered to the empty room. "Fine, let's play." I pored over every page, every amendment, every footnote, my eyes burning under the fluorescent light until the wee hours. And then, around 3 a.m., I struck gold. The exact wording: no resident shall keep any dog, cat, bird, or other domesticated animal that generates noise registering in excess of 50 dB at the property line. They banned loud pets, but said nothing about silent ones, no matter how intimidating. My mind raced to exotic pets. Snakes? Too easy to conceal. Tarantulas? Too small to make an impact. I needed something visible, something that would instill primal fear in Evelyn and her board while staying perfectly within the rules. A deep dive online led me to the striped skunk, Mephitis mephitis. Domesticated skunks are legal in Florida with the right permits, and they're virtually mute. A soft chitter when hungry, a quiet foot stomp if annoyed, but no barks, no howls, well under 50 dB. Best of all, they devour insects like grubs and roaches, making them ideal for natural pest control. But there were hurdles. Skunks are Class 3 wildlife under the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, FWC, requiring a permit. And the HOA had a clause banning wild animals or agricultural pests. Evelyn would scream, "nuisance," and try to evict me. That's when Florida Statute 373.185 came into play, a glorious law prohibiting HOAs from blocking Florida-friendly landscaping, which promotes eco-friendly yards using natural methods to conserve water and reduce chemicals. If I framed the skunk as a biological pest deterrent in a state-protected ecosystem, the HOA couldn't touch it. State law trumps local rules. Energized, I called a licensed exotic breeder in Central Florida the next morning. "I'm looking for a male striped skunk," I said. "The biggest, fluffiest one you've got. Descentate, of course." The breeder chuckled. "They're like feisty cats, quiet as can be. Need your FWC permit first." I hung up and dove into the application process, meticulously detailing Rufus, as I'd named him in my head, as a biological pest control agent for a Florida-friendly landscape. I submitted enclosure blueprints, passed the background check, and waited anxiously. Meanwhile, Evelyn's reign of terror continued. She found a neighbor for a squeaky car door. The air was thick with resentment, but no one rebelled. Finally, my permit arrived. I rented an SUV and drove to the breeder, where Rufus awaited, 12 pounds of midnight black fur with stark white stripes, a bushy tail like a plume of doom. He nuzzled my neck with a barely audible chuff, pure silence. The drive home was peaceful. Rufus slept the whole way. Phase 1 complete. Now for the enclosure. I called Hank, a rugged contractor I'd helped out years ago with a permitting snag. He arrived in his gravel-chewing F-250, tool bell clanking. "What's the job, Jack?" Sounded cryptic on the phone. I unrolled my sketches. A reinforced enclosure for biological pest control, steel mesh, native plants like saw palmettos. Integrated into my patio. Hank scratched his beard. "For what, a bobcat? I ain't building for anything that bites." "Doesn't bite," I assured him. "But it might make folks think twice. $3,000 sound fair." He sighed but got to work. By afternoon, the yard echoed with drills and grinders. Over 90 dB, but legal during business hours. Evelyn arrived in minutes, golf cart screeching to a halt. "Stop this racket," she bellowed over the noise. I handed her the laminated statute. "Florida-friendly landscaping, Evelyn. State protected. Can't veto it." Her face turned beet red, but she stormed off, muttering about lawyers. The enclosure turned out magnificent. A zoo-like habitat masked by ferns and palms, escape-proof and eco-chic. Now for the deployment. Saturday morning, I harnessed Rufus, a squishy, strawberry-bribed ordeal, and leashed him for a stroll. His low-slung waddle screamed, "Don't mess with me," tail high like a flag. First victim, Linda, fetching her newspaper. She spotted Rufus, dropped her mug with a clang, and backed away silently, terror in her eyes. Tom the jogger yelped and dove into the fountain, splashing wildly. The neighborhood buzzed with fear. Curtains twitched, workers perched on trucks. Evelyn charged in. "That's a skunk. A threat." "Check your meter," I said. 0 dB. Fully permitted. She called 911. Sirens wailed. Cops hid behind doors. Animal control approached warily. I presented my binder. Permits, vets, descending proof. Legal, they ruled. Civil issue. Don't waste our time. Evelyn fumed, but summoned me to a hearing. The packed clubhouse gasped as I entered with Rufus on my shoulder. Board members panicked. Their lawyer, Victor, ranted about noxious hazards. I revealed the descending certificate. No spray possible. Victor conceded, citation withdrawn. I declared victory. Buddy comes home tomorrow. Your rules can't invade my protected yard. Evelyn resigned the next day. The ordinance was repealed. Buddy returned, befriending Rufus in the yard. In the end, silence, and a skunk toppled the tyrant. Justice served Florida style. What do you think? Have you battled an HOA or faced similar injustice? Share in the comments. Where's the line between revenge and justice? How far would you go against unfair power? Let's discuss your views.